everybody. I've been doing astrology now for nearly 30 years. And something that I've noticed over all this time is that even though people will go to astrologers with questions ranging from when am I going to get married? When am I going to get into a relationship? When will my relationships improve? When am I going to get a promotion? When am I going to buy a house? What's keeping me from being able to buy a house? What's keeping me from being fulfilled? What's my destiny? People come with so many different questions. But at the root of all of those questions is one particular concept, which is at the source of why everybody goes to see an astrologer. Now, a colleague of mine once came up with the concept that everybody has one question when they go to an astrologer, which is, can you say astrologer? I'm only joking. No, they go to an astrologer because at the source of it, they all want to be happy. But I think there's something much deeper at work within the reason behind why people go to see an astrologer. And I think it boils down to the concept of self-trust. You see, we all have a spark of the divine within us. Some of us are more deeply connected to that than other people are, which is where the concept of self-realization comes from. When we are fully realized that we are connected to that divine source. But what ends up happening is over the course of life, we splinter off from that source because, hey, life here on Turtle Island can be pretty damn hard sometimes. And so we find ourselves in a position where we're having to navigate through life's experience and we develop a strong sense of individuality, which becomes necessary for the sake of doing so. But in doing so, we lose our connection with Source. We begin to not trust that side of ourselves. That's what self-trust is really all about, being able to trust in that source within yourself. So I came up with five very important reasons that self-trust is so vitally important. And equally, I want to talk to you today about ways in which you can establish a greater level of self-trust through astrology. I think ultimately that's what we have astrology for. So the number one reason that self-trust is so vitally important is really simple. If you can't trust yourself, who are you going to trust? Right? Life can be really hard if you don't trust yourself. And we all do not trust ourselves on a certain level, right? That's why our existence can be so difficult. But let's look at some other things that happen with that too. When you don't trust yourself, chances are you're not going to trust anybody else around you either. So it creates an existence that is just filled with lack of trust in general, right? So then your relationships suffer in addition to every other area of your life. So it's vitally important that you're able to trust yourself. Without trusting yourself, you're not going to be able to make the important decisions that life places in front of you. And we'll get to that a little bit more here in a moment. Okay, so pardon me if the screen bounces just a little bit. Your journey is yours and yours alone. Now, that sounds like a very lonely concept, but only if you want it to be. Okay. So even though we are all born into this world, right? We come into this world in a very specific way where we're connected to other individuals, and we may leave this world with other people all around us. And at the end of the day, we enter this world alone and we leave this world alone because the only thing that goes with us is our soul, our self, and our connection to our soul. But over the course of our existence, we splinter off from that soul connection. That soul equally connects us to source, and we lose that vital self-trust. And so if we can regain that, over the course of life, even though your journey is yours and yours alone, you become comfortable with that concept. You're happy with yourself. You're okay with being alone, right? Because you're fulfilled within yourself. That's why you'll see a lot of people who lead more spiritual lifestyles, they thrive on isolation because they're comfortable being with themselves, right? They may have a harder time being with other people sometimes, right? But that's maybe because the journey of self-trust is not fully complete to the extent that they don't feel fully comfortable around other people or they feel drained around other people. But it's vitally important that you become comfortable with yourself because you're going to spend eternity with you, right? So that's either a really exciting concept for you or it's a really scary concept for you. So, third important reason for self-trust, why self-trust is so important. Pardon me. When important decisions arise, you need to know that you can handle those decisions. And not only that you can handle those decisions, you need to know that you can handle those decisions in the correct way. This is why most people go to astrologers. They're concerned about those decisions that are coming up for them. Some people are wanting to know, like, how something's going to go. How is my career going to go? Some people have to make vital decisions and vital choices, and they don't feel comfortable with doing so. And there's an astrological concept as an astrologer that it is not appropriate for the astrologer to tell the client what to do. Why? Because their existence is them interacting with their own karma. When the astrologer tells them what to do, it doesn't strengthen the person resolving their own karmic knot. An astrologer's job is just to present the situation when it comes down to prediction. The client's job is to make that decision themselves. It's very important that they are able to make those decisions themselves. Why? Because making those decisions themselves strengthens self-trust. It strengthens the connection with themselves. It strengthens the connection to the soul. So we need to know that when important decisions arise, that we're able to handle them and that we're able to handle them in the correct manner, which brings me to the next concept, right? Which is the fourth reason that self-trust is so vitally important, which is life is meant to be lived from the heart and not the head. We're not meant to try to make every decision in life intellectually. We're not meant to just sit there, I should say, and weigh the pros and the cons of a situation and then decide from here. We're ultimately meant to decide every question from the space of the heart. There is a concept called the positive mind and the negative mind and the neutral mind. So the positive mind will see the advantages in a situation. The negative mind will see the disadvantages in a situation. All decisions should be made from the space of the neutral mind, which is not attached to the positive mind or the negative mind, but which is more deeply connected to source. It's connected to the heart. It's connected to the heart chakra. So when I say life is meant to be lived from the heart, sure, there's a degree of passion, there's a degree of joy, there's a degree of going into it with everything you've got, but I don't mean by emotions. I mean from the space within yourself that's innocent and pure. And that's related to something called the heart chakra. The heart chakra is named Anahata. So the word Anahata means the sound of two things not striking each other. The sound of two things not striking each other. It means being unwounded. That's another translation of it, unwounded. So, what does that mean specifically? It means we're not splintered off from ourselves. We're aware of the two sides of our being, but we're trying to make it so that those two sides are not coming up against each other. so that we're acting from a space of innocence and from a space of purity. And when you live life from anahata, from the heart, it means you'll never forsake yourself because you know yourself. You know what you believe in, you know your ethics, you know the things that are important to you, you know what you stand for, you know what you won't stand for. And every decision in your life will be made from that particular space with less mental like vacillation between the pros and cons of a situation. You're just going straight into it and living purely from here. Now, why is that important? There's a concept within Vedic philosophy that when we reach the end of our existence, those things that we're focusing on is what we carry over potentially into the next lifetime if you believe in reincarnation, right? And so if you reach the end of your life and you reflect back on your life and you go, you know what? I always tried to play it smart. I always tried to make the intellectual, I can't speak appropriately today, the intelligent decision in every single circumstance. But I really wish I would have done this. And even though this seemed like the smart choice, I probably would have gotten more out of life if I would have gone in this direction. With that, we end life with regret. Regret creates a very deep karmic pattern that creates more desire, more reasons for us to be reincarnated with more stuff to work through. So living life from the head really creates more karma for us. It creates more baggage. But if you can reach the end of your life and you may go, well, that was really difficult. This was a huge pain in the butt. This was enjoyable. But you know what? Through all of those decisions in life, I stood by myself. I stood by what I really ultimately believed in, and I have no regrets. If you're able to do that, then you're going to find yourself in a position where you're resolving more of your karmic baggage than you are creating more of your karmic baggage. And that's going to bring you to a greater level of resolution, self comfort, and self trust. Your entire life's journey through astrology exists for you to find and maintain this particular alignment of self trust, deeper connection with the source within yourself. Doing so resolves karma, as then you're able to act from a space of innocence, which leads us to point five. Self trust ultimately leads to liberation, or what is known as moksha. It ultimately leads to self realization. Now, your astrology is really not you. Now, that may be difficult for you to take in. Your astrology is not you. Your astrology is a collection of your karmic patterns. You are not your karmic patterns. You're connected to source. You're here to navigate through those karmic patterns, resolve those karmic patterns. And astrology, when we're using it from a forecasting or predictive perspective, simply shows when the ups and downs are coming so that you can continue to make decisions from the heart. If you know a difficult time is coming up, you may be tempted to make decisions from the head, but at the same time, if you still go, but you know what? I know this is right and I have to live by what is right within me, then you're going to face those difficult times from a heart-centered space. Same with the ups in life. If you're able to maintain a connection with the source within yourself, you're going to find yourself in a position where you're not getting boosted up and then ultimately let back down again, because life's existence will be pure and simply a play of you going through your existence, living from a space of deeper connection with yourself. So, all of those reasons that people go to astrologers for, at the root, there's just one question. how can I learn to trust myself? And I'd like to help you with this deeper core question. There's so much work that can be done through astrology, ranging from understanding the karmic patterns in the horoscope, and equally in terms of approaching prediction in a completely different way, one in which it helps you to fully understand why. Quite often, we keep asking the question what and when the more important question is why. Because if you understand why, then the what and when is going to become less relevant. So I'd like to help you with this. And I've got some future concepts that are going to be uh, available through my website, but the most easiest way to work with me at present is by scheduling in an astrological service with me through my astrological services page that you will find linked above. That's going to do it for today. I would love to hear your comments, ideas, and responses to everything I've talked about today. And if you like the content on my channel, please do subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can be notified every time I release a new video. Thank you so much.